Hello and welcome to the first ever Turnipp Speedrun review, or as I like to call it, the death of Speedrunner in the field. Arg! Turnipp, so you're saying your already indistinguishable series are now going to become more indistinguishable?
What's this shit? Are you talking to yourself?
Holy fuck, a voice that isn't in my head. It's almost like I have a budget now.
So, let me get this straight. You're just making this new series because you're not funny enough to do an edited live commentary?
Wow, the insults hurt a lot more when they come from a real person. Look, the reason why I want to start doing reviews is because one of my mates started doing reviews, so I've got to start stealing their content and start beef with them. Jovis Faye, expect my diss track in the mail. So I was about 6 months into writing the first line of my diss track when I was like, oh wait, how the fuck do I actually review a speedrun? So after doing a ton of research and a lot of self-reflection, I boiled down the main characteristics of a speedrun. Those characteristics are accessibility. Apart from illegal means, is the game possible to get a copy of? Or is it more rare than a 12-year-old's abandoned RPG Maker project? Accessibility also covers how hard it is to get the game to run correctly, or as we speedrunners do often, how hard it is to get it to run just broken enough. Learnability. How hard is it to learn the route and get a competitive time? If I gotta do 5 frame perfect inputs in a row, yeah, I'm fucking out, alright? I'm not learning your game. RNG. We know RNG shines more brightly down on certain games. The rest of the metrics will be arbitrary. Now you may notice that none of the metrics say anything to do with the quality of the game. You see, many speedrunners are filled with self-loathing and force themselves to play bad games in the vain hope that being good at a game that no one plays will earn them any kind of respect or recognition. The game we'll be reviewing today is one such terrible game. Stalin Subway Red Veil, which is a 2006 sequel to Stalin Subway. We play as the Russian Lena trying to save her kidnapped Russian husband from some evil Russians. First thing every runner of this game's gotta do is disable cutscenes to save time. The upside of this is you'll never have to worry about story spoilers from this video. Next thing you gotta do is disable sound. This apparently increases the game's stability, although I didn't notice any improvement. Although it does make the game hella easy to splice if you're into that sort of thing. Now this settings window I have here can be reached from the game's install directory or by launching the game after a crash, which is really handy because it's going to crash a lot. Oh, and while we're at it, put the game into compatibility mode. This will be important later. Now we can finally launch the game. Oh wait, this game's installed on my regular hard drive when it should be installed on my SSD. That's the real difference between a filthy casual and a speed gamer. I've only got 1 gig of SSD left, so what can I do? Well, does the game have an auto splitter? Of course it doesn't. And do I want to write an auto splitter? God no. Well, we're just gonna have to pony up the space in our SSD. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, we finally got the game open. Now we just got one more thing we gotta do before we can play the game. We gotta bind jump to something spammable, like scroll wheel. Now you and I both know what that means. That means forward ABHing, boys. Okay, so a big part of this game is bunny hopping around to gain incredible speed. There isn't much air control or really skill or precision required to gain a lot of speed in this game, so I'm going to give it some learnability points for that. As all you need to do is scroll down when you're about to hit the ground. I mean, you could hyper scroll, which will make your mouse wheel slipperier than a bar of soap in prison, but that's against the spirit of the run and bee hopping. There's an old saying, skill-based movement makes games good and fun. Well, this game is the exception to that rule, but that doesn't mean we can't make our own fun. You see, check this out. If you jump on an NPC's head, you can push them through walls. Now it's just us, Captain. With you working for the people who kidnapped my husband, our love is forbidden. Run away with me. Oh fuck, they're onto us. You gotta hide, sweetie. Go on without me. So yeah, this game gets points for letting me push enemies through solid objects, but it loses those points because I really just lost a fuck ton of time and should probably reset. Alright, I'm taking learnability points away from this game simply because of this nade throw. I just don't like it. It's like throwing a fucking Weezer ball at them. It just does whatever it wants. Another thing I should mention is these roofs are actually very risky to jump across because slopes in this game love to eat jump inputs. Okay, so this isn't really relevant to the run, but I figured I'd show you this really dumb thing about dying in this game. If you die and make a quick save, then you can control your dead body after a quick load. You can even activate loading triggers. You're still dead when you load back in, So this ain't no cool zombie state or anything cool, just figured I'd show it. Alright, we gotta shoot this guy before he gets to the stairs, and then we jump from this railing onto the roof. This gets points for just how awesome it is. This trick relies on the fact that moving then jumping allows you to gain a fuck ton of speed and distance. As you can see, shooting that guy from before stops his ally from being able to complete his scripted run sequence. Now we just gotta get the totally consistent swag jump and hit the loading trigger. Now the reason why the game was put into compatibility mode earlier is because it's going to skip chapter 3, which is a shitty railgun section. See, it just straight up loads the next level. While it's a cool trick, unfortunately it doesn't seem to work on all computers, so it loses some accessibility points. Chapter 4 is quite nice up until this vent jump. It's quite easy, it's just stupid awkward considering it's an intended strat. Now normally a cutscene would play here, and if you had cutscenes turned on, even if you skipped the cutscene, you'd have to wait for the cutscene to play in the background before this door would open. So this is why we play with them turned off, because you actually can't progress and you would lose a shit ton of time. Okay, so the valve we turned on earlier is going to fill up this room and disable the security panel. Luckily, this isn't just a scene to wait through. You see, in this game, quick saving makes the game's animations play faster, and if you have that door open, they load even faster again. So you can actually lose time based on how much the water raises on a quick save. Fun fact about this game is it doesn't replenish air upon resurfacing. So if you start taking damage underwater, whenever you re-enter water, you'll take damage no matter how long you're above water. Now I don't mean to forward the game's stereotype that all Russians are the bad guys, but I can tell you both sides here deal damage, and I don't know which side is actually supposed to be on my team. But I guess that's plus points for realism. Now one thing I haven't touched on in this game is it loves to have death barriers to stop the player from progressing until you do exactly what the developers intended. Now as speedrunners, we collectively give the middle finger to these developers every time we do a speedrun. Now I think it's time to talk about the most cancerous part of this run, chapter 6. See, you gotta get into the subway tunnel without hitting a death plane, but that's fine, that's easy. Then you gotta jump out of bounds and clip into this wall, minus 20 learnability points. Seriously, this is so hard. Then you gotta b-hop along the wall and land in front of this damn ladder, minus another 20 learnability points. I lose so much time in this section alone, not even funny. Now we just gotta b-hop back in bounds again. Oh, and if chapter 6 wasn't already insane enough asking us to do this trick, the last section requires you to actually be good at first person shooters. Seriously? This is an FPS speed game, not an FPS. Alright, so now we're on to the last two chapters of the game. There really isn't too much to say. Oh, except NPC pushing is back, boys. You gotta push this bitch boy Gleb into the wall so you can escape out of bounds. Plus 40 points for letting me use the best glitch in the game. Now the final part of this game is absolutely satisfying as a speedrunner. You get to b-hop at high speeds out of bounds while Gleb clips his way through the level. Time stops when your movement inputs stop working. It's kind of a weird end, but there would normally be a cutscene here. Now for the final score. I'd say this game has good accessibility, as it has a Steam release, and for the most part I think chapter 3 skips works for a lot of people. This game is mostly easy to learn, the tricks aren't too hard, I mean I could fucking learn them. It would be nice to have a tutorial, but really the tricks are quite learnable from just rewatching videos and copying. That's what I did. There's actually almost no RNG in this game. Most of the RNG you'll be worrying about is health drops, but they are usually easy to get, and as long as you're around 30 health, you should be fine in most levels. The only RNG I can really think of is Gleb. In chapters 6, 7, and 8, you can fail the mission if Gleb dies, and sometimes he just dies for no reason. I don't even know where the fuck Gleb is in chapter 6, but I've had him die on me in practice. As far as the game just crashing goes, I relaunch the game after every run that gets out of chapter 1 and then dies, and I haven't crashed since. Okay, now it's time for the arbitrary and most important factor, am I last on the board? This will determine if it's a good speed game, and would you believe it, I'm not last. So this game must be alright. Final score, alright. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I don't know how much of a review this ended up being, but if I somehow piqued your interest in the speedrun, I've linked both the Steam store page and the speedrun leaderboard, so feel free to check that out. Hopefully this audio doesn't sound too fucked. I've been pretty sick lately. Thanks again.